Well, let's start with this slide where we'll find that reports can be classified as informational, analytical report, or proposal. Each one have different characteristics. The first, the informational reports offer data, feedback, and other type of information without analysis or recommendation. The second is analytical report, offer both information and analysis and can also include recommendation. And the third proposal present persuasive recommendation to internal or external audience, often involving investment or purchases. And proposal, well, these three basic categories demonstrate that or invite you to view every business report as an opportunity to demonstrate your understanding of your audience, challenges, and your ability to contribute to your organization's success. And the three-step process you have used for shorter message is easily adapted to report and in fact simplify these larger projects by ensuring a methodical and efficient approach. The most useful way to phrase your purpose statement is to begin with an infinitive phrase, to plus a verb, which help pin down your general goal, to inform, to identify, to analyze, and so on. For instance, in an informational report, your statement of purpose can be as simple as, for example, to identify potential market for our new language learning games, or to update the board of directors on the progress of the research project, or to submit required information to the Toronto Stock Exchange. The statement of purpose for an analytical report often needs to be more comprehensive. In addition to considering your purpose carefully, you will want to prepare a work plan. For most report and proposals in order to make the best use of your time. For simpler report, the work plan can be an informal list of tasks and a simple schedule. However, if you're planning a lengthy report, particularly when you are collaborating with others, you'll want to develop more detailed work plan. The example is in the next slide. Now, gathering information or obtaining the information needed for many report and proposal require careful planning, and you may even need to do a separate research project just to acquire the data and information you need. To stay on schedule and on budget, be sure to review both your statement of purpose and your audience need so that you can prioritize your information need and focus on the most important questions. Thus, is better organize your information following a direct approach. The direct approach is often used for reports because it is efficient and easy to follow. So use it whenever your audience is likely to be receptive or at least open-minded to what you have to say. Lead with a summary of your key findings, conclusions, recommendations, or proposal, whichever is relevant. This upfront arrangement saves time and makes the rest of the report easier to follow. For those readers who have questions or want more information, later parts of the report provide complete finding and supporting details. The direct approach is popular, we report, but some situations call for the indirect approach. However, if the audience is unsure about your credibility or is not ready to accept your main idea without first seeing some reasoning or evidence, consider the indirect approach because it gives you a chance to prove your point and build acceptance for the main idea. You will observe in the following slide some characteristics in the direct and indirect approach. I invite you to observe the direct and indirect approach and their characteristics with details during at least 2 minutes. Also, we have an important point here. It is support with reliable information. Save time, get better result by using a clear process. First, we have planned your research. Planning is the most important step of any research project. A solid plan yields better result in less time. And locate the information you need. Your next step is figure out where the data and information are and how to access them. A third point, we have process information. You locate the data and the information you find probably won't be in a form you can use immediately and may require statistical analysis or other processing. And the number 4, manage information. Number 4, apply your findings, summarize, conclude, and recommend. It is you can apply your research finding in 3 ways: summarizing information, drawing conclusion, and developing recommendations. And now the last one is manage information efficiently. Many companies are trying to maximize the return on the time and money invested in business research by collecting and sharing research results in a variety of computer-based systems, known generally as knowledge management system. When you start planning your research, start by developing a problem statement that defines the purpose of your research, the decision you need to make, or the conclusion you need to reach at the end of the process. Next, identify the information you need in order to make that decision or reach that conclusion. You can then begin to generate the questions that will constitute your research. Chances are you will have more questions than you have time or money to answer, so prioritize your information need. One important point in all these steps is the research source. We have primary and secondary research. The primary research contains information that you gather specifically for a new research project, and secondary research contains information that others have gathered and published in many cases. After you collect data information, the next step is converting it into usable content. You can use textual information from secondary sources in three ways. Quoting. A source means reproducing the content exactly and indicating who created the information originally. Paraphrasing is expressing someone else's ideas in your own words. And summarizing is similar to paraphrasing, but distills the content in fewer words. Of course, all three approaches require careful attention to ethics. We talk a little more in the following slide. All the three research are important when we take ideas, when we paraphrase other ideas, or when we summarize. I explained this in the last slide. However, well, we have some important point to discuss based on this and ethics. All the three approaches require careful attention to ethics. When quoting directly, take care not to distort the original intent of the material by quoting selectively or out of context, and never resort to plagiarism, presenting someone else's words as your own, such as copying material from an online source and dropping it into a report without giving proper credit. In Canada, copyright law includes the concept of fair dealing, which allows the use of others' materials for certain purpose specified in the Copyright Act. 5 Supreme Court of Canada decision in 2012 defined this purpose as education, research, private study, criticism, and review, or news reporting. Uncertainties in the law still exist as to what constitutes fair use, especially if the borrowed material is circulated widely. Although one of the most important part in write reports and projects are drawing conclusions. A conclusion is a logical interpretation of facts and other information. Your conclusion often answers the question posed by your proposed statement. In addition to being logically sound, a conclusion should be based only on the information provided or at least referred to in the report. Reaching good conclusion is one of the most important skills you can develop in your business career. In fact, the ability to see patterns and possibilities that others can't see is one of the hallmarks of innovative business leader. Whereas a conclusion interprets information, a recommendation suggests that what to do about the information. Or be credible. Recommendation must be to be credible. Recommendation must be practical and based on sound logical analysis. Also, when making a recommendation must be practical and based on sound logical analysis. Also, when making a recommendation, be certain that you have adequately described the recommended course of action so that readers aren't left wondering what happened next. Since recommendations are often the most important information in a report, decide how you can design the document to make the recommendation easily accessible to the reader. Several ways to find information that contribute with your research are some public, corporate, and university libraries offer printed source with information that is not available online and online sources that are available only by subscription. For entrepreneurs and small business owners, in particular, local libraries can provide access to expensive database and other information sources that would be beyond the reach otherwise. Libraries are also where you'll find one of your most important resources. Libraries, reference librarians, are trained in research techniques and can often help you find obscure information you can find on your own. They can also direct you to the typical library's many sources of business information. Well, you realize that I'm skipping some information because it is an extensive content and there are some relevant points. The relevant points I'm explaining through a video. However, you can read the rest of the information who are relevant when you are trying to work with a proposal, with a project, with a research. In this point, or in this slide, we have documenting your source. And documenting your source serve 3 important functions. It Credit the person who created the original material properly and ethically. Show your audience that you have sufficient support for your message. Help readers explore your topics in more detail if they choose. Be sure to take advantage of the source documentation tools in your software, such as automatic endnote or footnote tracking. Also, conducting surveys can provide invaluable insight, but only if they are reliable but produce identical results if repeated, and valid actually measure what they are designed to measure. To conduct a survey that generate reliable and valid results, you need to choose research participants, carefully develop an effective set of questions for important surveys. Consider hiring a research specialist to avoid errors in design and implementation. Getting in-depth information straight from an expert, customer, or other interested party can be a great method for collecting primary information. Interview can take a variety of formats, from email exchange to group discussions. Ask open-ended questions such as why you believe that South America represents a better opportunity than Europe for this product line. To solicit opinions, insight, and information. Ask closed questions to elicit a specific answer, such as yes or no. This can be helpful for certain topics, but including too many closed questions in an interview makes the experience feel more like a simple survey and doesn't take full advantage of the interactive interview setting. If you're planning informational report, provide the feedback that employees, managers, and others need in order to make decisions, take action, and respond to changes. Informational report can be grouped into 4 general categories: monitor and control operations, implement policies and procedures, demonstrate compliance, and document progress. Growing number of organizations rely on infographics to present data and explain ideas. Infographic communication or communicate through pictures, graphs, and limit the amount of text, and since they are largely visual, reader process, then rapidly use of infographic is increasing for at least 2 reasons. First, the overload of text and information that people are exposed to every day is affecting how people read, leading some to claim that many readers are in a state of continuous partial attention. And second, it is easy to embed sharing tools in a infographic, and people are more likely to share infographic than long articles or reports. Also, infographic can be used for both external and internal communication. Consider using an infographic style of reporting if the message has to reach a wide audience or is difficult to explain in words or could be communicated more clearly with visuals or has a data especially significant that you want to emphasize or is significant enough to warrant extra time for design and production or is intended for distribution or social media. We have another point about organized website content. Websites are potentially much more flexible than static reports, which can be both a good thing and a bad thing, depending on how carefully they are designed. Websites often have multiple audience with distinct information needs. For example, corporate website might have section designed for investors, the new media, existing customers, potential customers, local communities, and job hunters. Moreover, many visitors don't start at the homepage and follow a linear path through a website. Search engine may point them to a lower level page. From there, they move around the site by following links that look promising. Then, when planning reports for audience that are likely to accept your conclusion, either because they ask you to perform an analysis or they trust your judgment, consider using the direct approach, focusing immediately on your conclusions. This structure communicates the main idea quickly, but it doesn't present some risk. Even if audience trust your judgment, they may have questions about your data or the method you use. Moreover, starting with a conclusion may create the impression that you have oversimplified the situation. It is the end of the topic. Now we'll continue with the group work.